Amy Winehouse, The Voice That Couldn't Be Saved, July 23rd, 2011. Camden, London, 27th Camden Square. 3:54 p.m. The bodyguard knocked on Amy's bedroom door. He'd been checking on her all day. She'd been drinking the night before. Nothing unusual, but she'd been quiet all morning. "Amy, you awake?" No response. He knocked again, louder. "Amy?" Still nothing. The bodyguard opened the door. Amy Winehouse was lying in bed, completely still. Her skin was cold. She wasn't breathing. He called emergency services immediately. "Please hurry. I think she's dead." Paramedics arrived within minutes, tried to revive her. But Amy Winehouse had been dead for hours. At 3:54 p.m. on July 23, 2011, Amy Jade Winehouse was pronounced dead in her Camden home. She was 27 years old. The cause? Alcohol poisoning. Her blood alcohol level was 416, more than 5 times the legal driving limit. Lethal. Amy Winehouse, the most talented vocalist of her generation, the woman with 5 Grammys and a voice that could make you cry, the singer whose album Back to Black became one of the best-selling records of the 21st century, was dead. She'd joined the 27 Club, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, all dead at 27. The world was devastated, but not shocked, because everyone had watched Amy Winehouse destroy herself in real time. The paparazzi photos, the erratic performances, the drugs, the alcohol, the toxic relationship. We'd all seen it coming, and nobody could stop it. Now let me tell you the story of Amy Winehouse, the jazz-obsessed girl from North London who became a global superstar, the woman whose talent was matched only by her demons, and the singer who died exactly how everyone feared she would. The Jewish girl who loved jazz long before the Beehive, long before the tattoos, long before the addiction. There was a girl in North London who just wanted to sing. Amy Jade Winehouse was born on September 14, 1983, in Southgate, London. Her parents, Mitch and Janice Winehouse, were Jewish, middle class, cultural. Mitch was a taxi driver who loved jazz, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Ella Fitzgerald. The house was always filled with music. "My dad played jazz constantly," Amy later said. "That's where I got my sound." Amy was a handful from the start, loud, opinionated, difficult to control. She had a massive personality, her mother Janice recalled. Even as a little girl, Amy commanded attention. When Amy was 9, her parents divorced. It devastated her. "My parents splitting up affected me more than I admitted," Amy said. "I felt abandoned by my dad." Mitch moved out, visited regularly, but it wasn't the same. Amy acted out, got expelled from school for not applying herself. She was smart, but unfocused. At 13, Amy enrolled at the Sylvia Young Theatre School, a performing arts school in London. She thrived there, but she was also rebellious, got a nose piercing, wore inappropriate clothes, talked back to teachers. She was expelled after 2 years. But by then, Amy knew what she wanted to do: sing. Her voice was extraordinary, deep, soulful, mature beyond her years. She didn't sound like a teenager. She sounded like a 1960s jazz singer reincarnated. At 16, Amy started performing in small jazz clubs around London, tiny venues, barely any audience, but the people who heard her were stunned. "She had something you can't teach," said a club owner. "Raw talent, soul, presence." Amy's friend Tyler James was also a singer. He sent Amy's demo to his record label. The label listened, and they signed her immediately. Amy Winehouse was 19 years old, and she was about to become famous. But fame would be the worst thing that ever happened to her. Frank and Back to Black, the rise to superstardom. In 2003, Amy released her debut album, Frank. Named after Frank Sinatra, The album was a jazz-pop blend showcasing Amy's incredible voice and brutally honest lyrics. She wrote about relationships, heartbreak, growing up, all with a raw vulnerability. Critics loved it. Frank was nominated for the Mercury Prize, one of the UK's most prestigious music awards. Amy was suddenly everywhere. Magazine covers, TV appearances, radio play. But she wasn't a typical pop star. She didn't play the game. Amy showed up to interviews in jeans and a tank top. No makeup, hair messy. She cursed, smoked, didn't pretend to be something she wasn't. "I'm not interested in being famous," Amy said. "I'm interested in making good music." The industry loved her authenticity, but it also made her difficult to manage. Between 2003 and 2006, Amy worked on her second album. She was in a different place emotionally. She'd met a man named Blake Fielder Civil in 2005. He was a music video assistant, handsome, charismatic, trouble. Amy fell hard, obsessively, destructively. "Blake was everything," Amy said. "He understood me." But Blake was also an addict. He introduced Amy to harder drugs, crack cocaine, heroin. Their relationship was volatile. Passionate one moment, violent the next. They'd break up, get back together, break up again. Amy poured all of that pain into her second album. In October 2006, Back to Black was released, and it changed everything. The album was a masterpiece. Soul, jazz, retro production, and Amy's voice, raw, aching, devastating. Songs about Blake, about heartbreak, about addiction, about self-destruction. The lead single became one of the biggest hits of the decade. The album sold millions worldwide. Amy Winehouse wasn't just famous anymore. She was a phenomenon. She won 5 Grammy Awards in one night in 2008, tying the record for most wins by a female artist in a single ceremony. Best New Artist, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Female Pop Vocal Performance, Best Pop Vocal Album. Amy performed via satellite from London because she couldn't get a US visa due to drug issues. She wore her signature beehive hairstyle, heavy eyeliner, looked tiny on screen. And she sang, with such soul that the entire audience was in tears. Amy Winehouse was the biggest star in music, but she was also falling apart. Blake, the love that destroyed her Blake Fielder Civil, was the love of Amy's life and her destruction. In 2007, Amy and Blake got married in Miami. It was impulsive, chaotic, perfect for them. Amy got his name tattooed across her chest, Blake's in script above her heart. Friends and family were worried. Blake was bad news. "He brought out the worst in Amy," said a friend. "The drugs got worse. The drinking got worse." By 2007, Amy was using crack cocaine and heroin regularly, smoking, drinking bottles of vodka daily. Her behavior became erratic. She'd show up to concerts too drunk to perform, slur words, stumble off stage. The paparazzi documented everything. Photos of Amy stumbling out of clubs, bloody shoes, disheveled, clearly high. The media called her a train wreck, but people couldn't look away. In 2008, Blake was arrested and sentenced to 27 months in prison for assault and attempting to pervert justice. Amy was devastated. She visited him constantly, wrote him letters, waited for him. But with Blake in prison, Amy spiraled even more. She was using drugs to cope with his absence. Her father, Mitch, tried interventions, begged her to go to rehab. Amy famously refused, said she didn't need it. "My dad tried," Amy said, "but I wasn't ready." By 2009, Blake filed for divorce from prison. The marriage was over. Amy was heartbroken. She'd lost the person she loved most. She tried to work, started recording new music, but she couldn't focus. The addiction had taken over. Between 2008 and 2011, Amy's life was a cycle. Get sober for a few weeks, start drinking again, Try to perform, cancel shows, go to rehab, leave early, repeat. Her team tried everything. Her father became heavily involved in her care, but Amy resisted help. "I'm fine," she'd insist, even when she clearly wasn't. By 2011, Amy's career was in shambles. She'd tried to tour, but cancelled most shows. Her performances were disasters, slurred, incoherent, sometimes unable to sing. A June 2011 concert in Belgrade was particularly bad. Amy stumbled on stage, couldn't remember lyrics, booed by the audience. The tour was cancelled immediately. Amy returned to London, went to her home in Camden, tried to get sober again. For the last few weeks of her life, Amy seemed to be doing better. She was drinking less, talking about making new music, seeing friends. Her bodyguard and doctor checked on her regularly. On July 22, 2011, Amy seemed fine. She'd been drinking, but not excessively by her standards. On July 23rd, she was found dead. The alcohol had finally killed her. July 23rd, 2011, the day the music died. July 23rd, 2011, started normally. Amy's bodyguard checked on her in the morning. She was asleep, seemed fine. He checked again around 2 p.m. She was still asleep. He didn't want to disturb her. By 3 p.m., he was worried. Amy usually woke up by then. At 3:54 p.m., he entered her bedroom and found her dead. Police arrived, sealed off the house, called the coroner. Amy's father, Mitch, was notified immediately. He was at the house within the hour, devastated. The media descended on Camden Square. Cameras, reporters, fans. Within hours, the world knew Amy Winehouse was dead at 27. The initial report said cause of death was unknown, but everyone suspected drugs or alcohol. The autopsy revealed the truth. Amy had died from alcohol poisoning. Her blood alcohol level was 416, lethal for most people. There were no illegal drugs in her system, just alcohol. The coroner ruled it death by misadventure. She'd drunk too much. Her body couldn't handle it. Amy had been trying to get sober. She'd stopped drinking for a few weeks, then relapsed hard. Her body, already weakened from years of substance abuse, couldn't process the amount of alcohol she'd consumed. She'd essentially drunk herself to death. When the news broke, tributes poured in from around the world. Adele tweeted, "Amy paved the way for artists like me. We've lost a true talent." Tony Bennett, who'd collaborated with Amy, said, "She was the most talented singer I've worked with. This is such a tragedy." Russell Brand wrote a powerful essay. "We need to talk about addiction like the disease it is. Amy didn't choose this. She was sick." Fans gathered outside her Camden home, left flowers, candles, notes. "Thank you for the music. You deserved better. Rest in peace, beautiful soul." Amy's funeral was held on July 26, 2011, at Edgewarebury Lane Cemetery in North London. It was a private Jewish ceremony, family and close friends only. Her father, Mitch, delivered the eulogy. Could barely get through it. "Amy was my daughter," he said through tears, "and I couldn't save her." Amy was cremated. Her ashes were buried at the cemetery. On her gravestone, Amy Jade Winehouse, forever in our hearts. She joined the 27 Club. And the world had lost one of the greatest voices ever. The legacy, the voice that changed music. More than 12 years have passed since Amy Winehouse died, and her influence is everywhere. Every female artist with a big voice and confessional lyrics owes something to Amy. Adele, Sam Smith, Lana Del Rey, even Billie Eilish. "Amy showed us you could be raw and honest," Adele said. "You didn't have to be perfect. You just had to be real." Back to Black remains one of the best-selling albums of the 21st century. Over 16 million copies sold worldwide. Songs from that album are still played constantly, covered by artists, featured in films and TV shows. "Amy's music is timeless," said producer Mark Ronson, who worked on Back to Black. "It doesn't sound dated, it sounds classic." But Amy's legacy is complicated. We watched her destroy herself. The media exploited her pain. Paparazzi followed her relentlessly. Tabloids ran cruel headlines. Amy was treated horribly, said a music journalist. We turned her addiction into entertainment. After her death, her father Mitch established the Amy Winehouse Foundation to help young people struggling with addiction. We can't bring Amy back, Mitch said, but we can help others. In 2015, a documentary called Amy was released. Directed by Asif Kapadia, it used archival footage and interviews to tell Amy's story. The film was heartbreaking. It showed a young woman with extraordinary talent who was overwhelmed by fame, addiction, and toxic relationships. The documentary won an Academy Award, and it changed how many people viewed Amy. She wasn't just a train wreck, viewers said. She was a person, a daughter, a friend, who needed help and didn't get it. Blake Fielder Civil has said he regrets introducing Amy to hard drugs. "I ruined her life," Blake said in interviews. "I have to live with that." Amy's mother Janice has spoken about the pain of losing her daughter. "I miss her every day," Janice said. "I wish I could have saved her." The Camden house where Amy died has become a pilgrimage site. Fans leave flowers and notes. The current owners have tried to discourage it, but people still come. Amy's music continues to introduce new generations to her talent. Young people discover Back to Black and are amazed. "How is this from 2006? They ask. "It sounds so fresh." That's the power of real talent. It doesn't age. But the tragedy is that Amy never got to grow old, never got to make more albums, never got to mature as an artist. She died at 27, at the peak of her powers, with so much left to give. Epilogue: the girl who just wanted to sing. If Amy Winehouse had lived, what would she have become? Would she have gotten sober, made more incredible albums, collaborated with jazz legends, become an elder stateswoman of music? We'll never know. Amy Jade Winehouse from North London became a global superstar, won 5 Grammys, made one of the greatest albums of all time. But she also became addicted to drugs and alcohol, got trapped in a toxic relationship, couldn't escape the demons that haunted her. On July 23, 2011, Amy drank herself to death in her Camden home. She was 27 years old, and the music world lost a once-in-a-generation talent. But Amy's story isn't just about tragedy. It's also about the power of authentic artistry. Amy didn't play games, didn't pretend, didn't manufacture an image. She was just herself, raw, honest, flawed, and she poured all of that into her music. That's why her songs still resonate, why people still cry listening to Back to Black, why her voice still gives chills. Because Amy Winehouse was real. In an industry full of manufactured stars, she was the genuine article. And even though she's gone, her voice lives on. Every time someone plays her album. Every time a young singer is inspired by her honesty. Every time someone struggling with addiction hears her story and decides to get help. Amy Winehouse is still here, still making an impact, still mattering. She was a girl who just wanted to sing jazz, who became a superstar, who struggled with demons she couldn't defeat. But she gave us her voice, her talent, her truth. And that's the legacy that will never die. Rest in peace, Amy. You were one of the greats, and we'll never forget you.